So now let's look at, what does your computer do? What does your PC, your phone do when it's trying to route a packet? And we with both IPv4 and IPv6, the source host always creates them. The source host must be able to detect the packet, direct the packet, not detect, direct the packet to the destination host. To do this, it must create its own little routing table. And that's what we're going to discuss here. Now, there's a way that, another role of the network layer is to direct packets between hosts. A host can send a packet to the following. It can send a packet to itself, similar to a ping, to test if it's working. You can ping an address, the 127.0.0.1, or the IPv6 address ::1, which just is referred to as a loopback address, and it basically just tests if the TCP/IP protocol stack is working in the host. You can send a message to the local host. This is a destination host on the same network as a sending host, and the source and destination are on the same network address. Or it can go to a remote host, and this is the destination that the host is on a remote network. So diagram shows you a little bit of the couple of different options that you can choose. Now, whether a packet is destined to be local or remote, you must determine the IP, whether the destination is on the same network as the source is or a different device. Now, how do you do that? Well, one thing you got to do is determine what changes in IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4, the source destination has its own subnet mask along with its own IPv4 address. So the difference between those can tell if the packet is on the same network. In IPv6, the local router advertises the local network address to all devices. So the source device doesn't need to do that. Just know that that's some of the distinctions between these. Now, another thing you got to worry about is the default gateway. The default gateway is it's a network service on a router or a layer 3 switch that can route traffic to other networks. It's kind of like if you use the text is using an analogy. The network is like a room, but the default gateway is like the door. So if you want to go to another room, what do you got to do? I got to go through the door. I got to go. So that's kind of what the default gateway is. It is usually a router, and it has a local address that has the same address as the other host in the local network. It can accept data into the local network, but it forwards it out of the local network. So it routes traffic to other networks. So it's kind of required, it's only required if you're going to send data to outside networks, and 99% of what we do is someplace else. So you're pretty much going to need a default gateway to get any information out. Now, the host routing table typically includes a default gateway. In IPv4, the host receives the IP4 address of the default gateway and either dynamically from either the DHCP, where it's dynamically allocated, or you manually configure. In IPv6, the router tells you all this stuff. It advertises all the information that's needed. So here's a brief example where your default gateway is I'm looking at that IP address because that tells this network, how do I get out of the room? Well, the only thing is I've got to know the address to that router. So that's kind of what is going on here. Now, each of your hosts sets up its own routing table. Windows allows the capability to maintain a list of addresses to other devices that you commonly use. And you can use the route print or the netstat.r command to display this routing table. Either one. And if you look at that command, I did a netstat.r, and basically what it's showing you, it's showing the what active routes does this PC know about. And it gives you the network destination, its network mask, so it's got its subnet masks. Is the gateway up or down? What port is it on? And then this metric is how fast do I want to get there? You know, what's its importance? And usually the lower the number, that means the better. That's the one I want to use to get someplace. Now, when you enter the netstat.r command, you get the interface list, which includes a list of MAC addresses and the IP address that's associated with it. And you get an IPv4 and an IPv6 route table, which pretty much says, hey, what are my direct connections and what are the local and default? So just a little bit of information on how to go about the network layer, and at least how a host routes is. Now, the host is basically your computer. So what does your computer do? And basically the things I knew about, it says I know about who's on my network, and I know who's my default gateway so I can go to the outside world. And then I'm about to quickly go through a brief introduction on routing, and that'll be in the next video. Have a nice day.